Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the show. It's great to have you with us. We're back in studio here in the Capitol tonight. The big story tonight is another political defection. This time, former Free National Movement Member of Parliament for Central Grand Bahama, Iram Lewis, is out and has decided to join the Coalition for Independence. It's a story that's been the talk of the town all day, and no doubt we're going to join in that chorus tonight, albeit a little late in the broadcast. We're going to get to that. A very exciting show for you tonight. But first, to the headlines of the day. I wanted to talk about the Bahamas. Of course, is now among the countries targeted by those global tariffs levied by the United States government. Late this afternoon, U.S. President Donald Trump announced a 10% reciprocal tariff on the Bahamas, Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, and Jamaica that will take effect at 12:01 a.m. this Saturday, April 5th. Now, it's all a part of what President Trump brands as, quote, Liberation Day. According to the White House website's tariff fact sheet, President Trump is invoking his authority under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act of 1977 to address the national emergency posed by the large and persistent trade deficit that is driven by the absence of reciprocity in our trade relations and other harmful policies like currency manipulation and exorbitant value-added taxes perpetuated by other countries. I know that's a lot. We're going to break it down for you. The White House's fact sheet also noted that these tariffs will remain in effect until such a time as President Trump determines that the threat posed by the trade deficit and underlying non-reciprocal treatment is satisfied, resolved, or mitigated. Well, our Minister of Economic Affairs, Senator the Honorable Michael Alcides, told our Felicity Darville that the Bahamas was already in the early stages of the trade war ahead of Trump's announcement. Take a look.
The United States imposing across-the-board tariffs today expected to cause even greater disruptions to the global economy than the tariff policies themselves. Countries around the world are bracing for the impact. China, Japan, and South Korea talking about forming a trade bloc of their own to protect their region. The European Union stepping up relations with South America and planning new trade agreements. And many countries are looking to Africa to secure food sustainability. Minister of Economic Affairs, the Honorable Michael Alcides, saying that we were already in the early stages of a trade war.
So there's a lot of uncertainty. We don't know what will happen. The danger for us here in the Bahamas is that some protracted and severe trade war leads to recession in the U.S., which would impact us or even leads to a global recession. So we have to be aware. There's very little we can do to impact circumstances, but I think, as I said before, one of the important things that we can do is prepare ourselves in terms of how we manage our economy, how we manage our finances to deal with any sort of fallout. A lot of this we are observers. We see what happens today. We are in a wait-and-see mode. But we are hopeful that, there's some resolution and we don't get to an all-out trade war that would impact the economies of the world and us as well.
The United States, he said, is our major trading partner and the source of most of our resources. But the government is already focused on trade diversification.
The cost of living, for example, impacting the Bahamas so severely, we have a trade diversification committee that is looking at ways to get goods here more directly. So, for example, you have goods produced in Central or South America, the Caribbean, go up to Miami or Jacksonville or wherever, and then come back down to the Bahamas. If we can get them the very same thing, same can of whatever it is, directly here, then you cut out the cost of all that intermediate shipping. So we're looking at things like that.
The minister remains hopeful that our own negotiations with America will take place as we work to maintain the safety and vibrancy of our country. For the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Felicity Darville.
Well, this just in from the office of the Prime Minister. The government has taken, in a statement, they said the government has taken note of the announcement by U.S. President Donald Trump to impose, of course, a 10% reciprocal tariff on several countries, Caribbean countries, including Bahamas, that export duty-free to the United States under the Caribbean Basin Initiative. It is important to note that the Bahamas currently maintains a trade deficit with the United States. We will engage with our U.S. counterparts, according to the statement, and work collectively with our CARICOM partners in response to this development. The government has approved a national trade policy aimed at diversifying trade. As part of our broader strategy to protect the Bahamian economy, we have already announced a number of measures, including the development of a trade diversification framework, which you heard the minister talking about. We remain focused, according to the press release, on minimizing the impact of global trade decisions on Bahamian businesses and consumers. And that, of course, is coming in from the office of the Prime Minister. And, of course, we can tell you that's why this diversification is critical. Because with all of these developments that are taking place with our neighbors to the north, the United States, the Bahamas is going to have to depend heavily on being able to source goods and services and food, especially from other countries, other sources that we may have not have given ear to before. It's now time to turn to those for attention, or else we're going to find ourselves paying ungodly prices, is the best way to put it. Well, to provide a bit more clarity, the White House indicated that today's President Trump's order also contains modification authority, allowing him to increase the tariff if trading partners retaliate or decrease the tariffs if trading partners take significant steps to remedy the non-reciprocal trade arrangements. Boys, no end to this, and align with the United States on economic and national security matters. Now, some goods will not be subject to the reciprocal tariff, including steel, aluminum articles, auto sales, auto parts. They're already subject to Section 232 tariffs. Copper, pharmaceuticals, semiconductors, lumber articles, energy, and other certain minerals, we're being told, that are not available in the United States, among some other things. So we're going to have to watch and see how this plays out, because if we don't prepare for what obviously the United States is doing and clamping down with other countries in the world, then we could find ourselves paying higher prices despite best efforts here to bring the cost of living down into comparison. Well, meantime, there's another issue brewing. Transport Minister JoBeth Colby-Davis is tonight responding to the U.S. State Department's recent revision of its travel advisory to the Bahamas. The U.S. has issued a level 2 advisory to its residents about travel here to the Bahamas, warning travelers to exercise increased caution because of criminal activity. Now, the advisory also singles out the country's boating industry, which it warns is not well regulated, noting that sexual assaults by jet ski operators have been reported. Today, Minister Colby-Davis acknowledged that she is aware of some of the concerns with the industry. She says a review is currently underway by the Port Department. She awaits the recommendations.
We have been reviewing and assessing how we process in jet skiing and the areas and locations where we have them presently set up to launch for business for the tourist sector. And there have been some concerns raised. And so there was a meeting where they shared some of the concerns, and they also spoke to recommendations. And the port is now internally preparing a report for me to advance conversations at Cabinet.
So my advice, encouraging all of you to learn about how this tariffs will impact you. Go online, read as much as possible from the government and international websites. It's important that all Bahamians become familiar with these financial moves, as it will impact the Bahamas now. That's the financial moves we're talking about, but not just financial moves, also we're talking about regulations, right? Because you want to know where to be compliant. We were talking just now about JoBeth Colby-Davis and, of course, what's happening in the jet ski industry. But it's important for you to become aware, all right, of what is happening, not just on the trade tariffs front, but also in the industry. Most of you we all play a part in tourism. We're involved in the tourism sector. We're involved in the tourism industry. That means you ought to know what the regulations are there, so that if there's any violation, we know exactly what we need to fix as a country and be aware of it. The microscope is on the Bahamas. We're the envy of the world, still believe so. And so people are going to try and find ways to come at us. So we have to make sure we are compliant as much as possible in every way. Enough said. I know that's not what you're tuning into tonight. We know what the big story is tonight. Everyone's talking about the former Free National Movement MP for Central Grand Bahama, Hiram Lewis, officially announcing his move to the Coalition of Independents. Many were surprised by this action. And tonight we're going to talk to, of course, Coalition of Independents Party leader Lincoln Bain, who is on the rundown and still waiting to check on some things. And we're going to start the discussion right after the break. You're watching the rundown on the ZNS Network. This is going to be quite interesting tonight. There's more after the break. Stay with us.
At Frame Studio, as soon as you enter the door, we showcase any individual that comes in there and make it feel like they are at home. The space itself is 1,800 square foot. Our site wall, which is industry standard also, is 24 feet wide. You can do anything that you can possibly think of. At Frame Studio, under our theme, Now Create More, we look at Frame Studio as a canvas. And any artist knows a canvas is blank, and then you create whatever you want to do, right? So we have where you could rent tools. We even have workstations that people could rent out to anyone inspiring to do what I've done, or what my colleagues have done, or any other journey. I would say to you, don't be afraid. The worst someone can actually tell you is no. So if you have a vision, you have an idea, not everyone will get it. But if you believe in your vision, you believe in your idea, I say go wholeheartedly at it.
For more information about the Creative Entrepreneurs Initiative and the Crafting the Bahamas workshops, email info@sbdcbahamas.com or call us at 461-7232.
I am a master plumber by profession. I've been doing plumbing for over 40 odd years. When I was 9 months old, I was diagnosed with polio. To me, living with polio, I took it the way it is. I never allowed my polio to get in my way of anything. In fact, I love when people doubt me, and I just prove them wrong. And let me tell you, in the world, you could only find a plumber as good as me, but you ain't gonna find no plumber better than me. People with disability, they just need a chance. In this program, I feel so encouraged. Most of the mentors have different kind of disability, but disabilities like me. Sharing and caring and showing so much support with people with disability. They would encourage you to go beyond. I wish this was around a long time ago. Right now, I would have been a millionaire. You out there who have a disability, don't be afraid. Take the step. If you believe it, you could achieve it. And remember one thing, ain't no one better than me, and ain't no one better than y'all. God made all us equal.
For more information about how the SBDC can help your small business to make a big impact, give us a call at 461-7232 or visit sbdcbahamas.com.
Bahamas Striping Group of Companies, we have been in Exoma now for the past 4 years, carrying out our paving program. A part of our company's philosophy is to do some work to international standards. So when you look at our paving division, we have a state-of-the-art lab to do all of our testing in-house, as well as a state-of-the-art asphalt plant with a trained technician carrying out the work on that site. The overarching goal of our company is to produce the work that we're doing in the entire Bahamas to international standards. We also make a difference by the training of our staff. We have a very intensive training program going on to where we are teaching young men how to learn the art of striping. Being a young man myself, I've made mistakes in the past. I was given a second chance to better my life, and it's only fitting that we pass it along. What's important for us is giving them a second chance for them to get a skill and a career that could take them further in life.
Welcome back to the Rundown. A special good night to all of you who are joining us in the Lion's Stand, those of you who are watching on YouTube, those of you watching on your first platforms, Flow, Digicel, and Turks and Caicos Islands, around the Caribbean, internationally, or right here at home. Welcome. It's always good to have you joining us every night. Well, one man down. The opposition's parliamentary caucus reduced after one of its senior members forged an alliance with outside forces, changing the landscape of the lower chamber of parliament. Our Devonde Hanna tells us what's behind the now former FNM MP's decision on what happens next.
It is with this responsibility in mind that I announce my decision, painfully yet courageously, to withdraw from the Free National Movement Caucus.
In an unexpected move, Central Grand Bahama MP Iram Lewis today stood to his feet and announced on the floor of the lower chambers his decision to formally end ties with the Free National Movement and a subsequent historic shift to a fledgling third party.
From this day forward, I will sit as the first member of parliament representing the Coalition of Independent Party.
Lewis cited a lack of support, an erosion of trust, and internal strife within the FNM among the key reasons for his departure from the party, which he has served since entering frontline politics in 2017.
I'll no longer remain where I'm tolerated, but where I believe I'm appreciated. Behind the scenes discussions, whispers and implications have eroded the trust that should exist between the party and its dedicated members. That the FNM that I see today does not entirely reflect the party I've known and loved all my life.
The shocking decision prompting a response from Prime Minister the Honourable Philip Davis, who chalked up the switch to merely democracy at play.
So we respect the member for what he's done and chose, and we also respect the leader of the opposition for taking the positions that he's been taking, because he has the right to do that as well.
All right, now FNM leader Michael Pintard used a portion of his address in the House of Assembly this afternoon to address Hiram Lewis's departure from the party.
Thank you to the Honorable Hiram Lewis for the contribution you've made to the Free National Movement over a number of years, and to say to you and to your family that we wish you the best in your endeavors. The Free National Movement as an organization has released a statement, Madam Speaker, that speaks more fully to the matter.
So as you can imagine, that was brief, right? So here's what the statement continued. The party did note that the FNM's executive committee has called Mr. Lewis's behavior into question on more than one occasion. Further, that the Constituency Association recently requested that Mr. Lewis not be renominated for the next general elections. Now, the statement added that the party is moving to identify a replacement candidate. Well, Grand Bahama residents also speaking out on Lewis's decision to resign from the Free National Movement and join the Coalition of Independents. Take a look what they had to say.
That's the best move ever for Hiram, okay? Too long in the Bahamas, we have been here and we only thought about two parties, PLP, FNM, PLP, and there could never be a third party. And for him to make such a move, that shows volume.
That's a leader's choice, if to run against another person or not.
I think that that's a bold move, and it's a move we need to see more of.
The man only could speak for himself, but my opinion, wherever he go, he'll be a good candidate.
All right, now how long has this move been in the making? What prompted a longtime Free National Movement party member jump ship? Well, we're going to talk about this tonight. Joining me is the leader of the Coalition of Independents, leader Lincoln Bain, to talk about some of the questions tonight. Hiram Lewis was scheduled to join us, but we understand that he declined coming due to a toothache, we're told. And you may notice that he is doing an interview on another station where I'm told that was pre-recorded earlier while that interview is airing at this hour. Mr. Bain joins you live. Of course, you know, people listening, first of all, welcome. It's always good to have you here.
Thank you, man.
Thank you. I'm going to let you do your first damage control for your new member, because people are going to wonder, where is he? He needs to be here to answer questions and to talk, but you said you spoke with him and he has a toothache.
Yes, even before all of this, that was a challenge he's dealing with, and he has an appointment in the morning, but he couldn't make it.
Couldn't make it.
Yeah.
Okay. So nonetheless, the show goes. As I said, the show must go on. We're going to continue this show tonight without Mr. Lewis. He made the decision to join your organization. Have you been in talks? How long did this take? How did this come about?
There was not talks for him to join the organization, but there were talks for quite some time about the Bahamas and where we're going as a country. And so I talked to him and I talked to other members of parliament. And for him, he was disturbed at where the country was going as a young person, that the country was failing, and that, you know, being a part of a party, you know, your hands are tied and you only do what the party wants you to do. But his concern was always for the country, and I respect that. You will see that, you know, that press statement that went out, they said there were 2 times they had to reprimand him. And I know about those 2 times because those were 2 times that he actually came out to stand up for the Bahamian people. One time he was at the Office of the Prime Minister with us when we had problems with the way citizenship was apparently being given to someone at a funeral, to an immigrant at a funeral. And so we decided to stand up against that. And as a Bahamian, he decided to come there. And the announcement was, we're not going there as a party, we're going there as Bahamians, and no one wore party paraphernalia, etc. And he decided to join us. He also didn't wear party paraphernalia.
So you think the FNM reprimanded him for that?
Yes, and I think that that was actually sick of the FNM. They should be standing with us. We called for persons to stand up against what we felt was wrong. You know, in the end, you know, the minister is transferred, etc. But why wouldn't you stand with Bahamians who said, we're going to come out and say that this particular thing is wrong and this is not where the country should be going? He was warned not to go, and he still went because he thought it was right. So to reprimand, I think they should have been ashamed to say that they reprimanded a member of parliament for standing with the Bahamian people.
The FNM, sorry, go ahead.
The other one was in Grand Bahama when they were talking about raising the price of electricity. He's a representative, and I think that the FNM should have been there. And they weren't there. He decided to go, and of course they reprimanded him.
This Grand Bahama Power Company?
Yes.
The FNM released a statement saying that he was not really, they were having issues. They received a recommendation from the organization not to run him, not to nominate him again. I want to make sure I get the words right here. It would have said that Mr. Lewis, they received from the Constituency Association a request not to have him renominated. So they're saying that the FNM branch of the Central Grand Bahama constituency did not want him to be renominated again, and asked for a new candidate. Do you think that would have led to his decision to come and join another party?
No, not based on the conversations that we were having. I think that he was disenfranchised with where the FNM has gone. It's not the FNM that he grew up in. And he was disenfranchised on where the country is going, and that the FNM has not put forward a vision to take this country forward. You know, they are just saying, we got next, remove the PLP and put us there. But, okay, what are you going to do? Other than, you know, just do the bidding of the people that fund you. He made an interesting comment during the press conference today. He said that the person behind the wheel is not necessarily in charge, something like that. And I think that he was implying that, he didn't say it, but I think it went over everyone's head. But he was implying that Pintard is not really in charge.
You don't think he's in charge of the FNM?
I know he's not in charge. Pintard is doing the bidding of those who fund him and those who put him there. And I'm saying that boldly, and he can sue me if what I'm saying is wrong. Don't sue Zedna, sue me. I do not believe that he is in charge of the FNM.
Why do you say that?
I believe that he's a puppet. And those days are gone. We're tired of members of parliament being put there just to do the bidding of those who make the money in the party or those who donate to the party. We need a new Bahamas where members of parliament can actually do what they can to better this country, and that the government can do what they can to better this country. And so we don't believe that that is the case. We've seen where the same people backing him benefit from contracts, etc. The last term, one man got $60 million in contracts in a short period of time, like a year or two. $60 million in contracts, Clint? And now you're complaining about the PLP and them saying that they're not doing procurement, they are getting contracts, but you did the same thing.
But Michael Pintard is saying that he represents a new era of the Free National Movement, a new kind of leadership, one that is going to be accountable, one that is going to govern if they give him the opportunity for the people. This is what Michael Pintard has been touting, that he is not the old guard of the FNM.
Clint,
he is different.
I'm going to take the advice of the only man who was wiser than Solomon, and that's Jesus Christ. He said, you don't put the new wine in the old wineskin. And there's no way you're going to get new out of old. We've gone through this over and over in this country, Clint. We have tried the party, then they say they brought in new people, new candidates, a new leader, everything. And we get worse and worse and worse. More taxes, more failure. They'll bring you candidates and try to impress you with these candidates. Say, oh, these are some new qualified people. This is a new crew. And then when they get in, you'll be like, where are these qualifications? Y'all are not making any sense. How much time are we supposed to go to this? In May, the FNM is going to release a few candidates based on my inside information, and they're going to try to say, oh, we're a new group of people, and these new entrepreneurs.
These are going to be new faces to politics.
Right, these are new faces, and we've seen that over and over, the bridge to the future, and we've been swung over and over with the same thing, and nothing goes forward because the same people controlling the shots. We see the same people are getting to distribute food and $11 checks to Bahamians. Have we forgotten that, Clint? The same people, all the West Coast. Why not give that to persons who have been distributing food for a long time? You give that to them, and the first thing that Pinta did when he became leader was defend them on that. Come on, these are the same kind of things, and I think Bahamians are tired of this, man. We got to do something different and something new.
When we, because, you know, at the end of the day, we know, I know we like to say that, you know, give new people, but these are people who obviously have backed organizations. All the West Coast have done good for our country. They have supported many people. They have funded. And I don't want to disparage that or not mention the good that they have done for the country. That's important to note. But what I think is also essential for us to talk about is what is at the root of why people or somebody as committed or senior as Hiram Lewis, somebody who served in the administration before under the FNM, would then walk away and say, I don't think this is the right move for me to stay. It then puts in the minds of so many people, how do you be a part of an administration? How do you be a part of a movement and speak for an organization and then all of a sudden say, well, no, I ain't for them no more, I don't believe in them more? It leaves voters and Bahamians concerned as to whether people just put on shows and say anything for saying its sake and then don't really mean it.
All of us have been a part of an organization or a part of a company or a part of a group, and you're part of it, you're trying to make it work, you're trying to be a team player, but at some point you realize that this isn't what I signed up for. And all of us have done that. Some of us has quit jobs because this isn't what I signed up for. And I think he reached the point where he is saying that this isn't what I signed up for. This has happened over and over in politics. It happened with Dissident 8. It's happened with Hubert Ingram leaving the PLP. It happened with Perry Christie leaving the PLP. We had other persons in politics from Tennyson Wells and others who said, you know what, this isn't the direction I want to go in. So he's decided the same thing. It wasn't because he didn't get a nomination. They have not rejected his nomination. He got no information that he was being rejected. And many times there'll be rumors going around, and in the end you still get the nomination. Right. So they didn't give him a letter and say, you're not going to be the person. They didn't even communicate with him and say, you're not going to be the person as far as I know. But he just wanted to make a change at this time. He doesn't feel like the leadership is what it needs to be, and he doesn't feel like the party is going in the right direction, and I respect that.
What do you say to the people of Central Grand Bahama who perhaps feel as though, well, he never consulted with us. He didn't talk to us. How do we feel? They're saying, okay, we're now our community is now represented by the Coalition of Independents. We didn't vote for that. What do you say to the people in Central Grand Bahama who oftentimes say, well, people make these decisions in Parliament on their own, but what about us? Who put you there?
That's a good question. When you vote for a person, you're voting for that person. Right. They might be a part of a party or they may not, but you're voting for that person. And when that person goes through the process and wins, he's not representing the FNM or those who voted for him anymore. He's representing the entire community. So it's not about politics at that point or party at that point. That's why you have to change the color of the party colors from your headquarters, etc. You're representing everyone. It's not about who voted for you, because then what do you say about the PLP is who voted against him? Right. Many of them did. Right. It's not about who voted. You participated in the process to allow that person to be put forward. And then they go into the House of Assembly, and the party is not necessarily what is on the plaque in front of him. It's the constituency. constituency. You're representing everyone in that constituency.
All right.
So it doesn't matter whether you voted for him as an FNM or PLP.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, I want to ask you, there's one man quiet today. I want to ask you, what do you think that means? And then we're going to talk about the Dr. Hubert Minnis factor. What does that mean? And then, of course, what does it also mean? The coalition now has a seat at the table in Parliament. You're watching The Rundown here on the ZNS Network. We're back after this. So close.
After 30 years of banking, I've decided to take a leap of faith. I moved from banking into an untapped industry, which is manufacturing in the Bahamas. And now we are standing on 3 acres of land on which we're going to be putting the Bahamas' first end-to-end plastic recycling company, Eden Recycling and Manufacturing Company Limited. Eden has 2 arms, recycling and manufacturing.
This is groundbreaking for us. It's never been done before. It really makes a difference, not only in the Bahamas, but even around the world. This is not just a project that we're doing so that we can make a couple of dollars. We want to make sure that it benefits those who come after us. In future generations, we hope that this is a small vision, that they will take it and they'll expand on it. We can have the formula for what it means to do end-to-end recycling in the Bahamas, in the region, and even if we have to export these ideas and thoughts and concepts even into the U.S.
Welcome back to The Rundown. My guest is the leader of the Coalition of Independents, Lincoln Bain, who now has a seat in Parliament. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. If you see me smiling, it's because, you know, on commercial breaks, we talk about some very interesting facts that come up. And we're going to talk about some of those in this break, and you'll see why I have this grin on my face, because it's interesting to hear Lincoln Bain's take on some things of what could possibly be happening and brewing. But before that, we wanted to talk about, obviously, the factor of there's some obvious silence today. If you notice, as the exchange took place, well, first of all, when the announcement was made, the leader of the FNM, Michael Pintar, was not in Parliament at the time. And then he came back and he made a very blanket statement, thanked him for his service and moved on, and referred to the press release, which kind of said a little more. And there was also former Prime Minister, Dr. Hubert Minnis. Quiet. What do you make about that?
I think he is just trying not to make any political mistakes and not trying to get in it. If someone is treating you badly and treating you, behaving like an enemy, and they're messing up, it's best for you to not get in it.
Stay quiet, stay out of it. In your fight.
Let them hang themselves. And I think that's what's really going on, and that's wisdom.
Do you believe Michael Pintar is making mistakes?
He's making major mistakes. From he came in, from what I'm hearing from FNMs, the way he's treating persons, they're not appreciating that. And I think he needs to put on his leadership hat or take some advice from some people. You can't be a dictator and expect people, volunteers, supporters, to just go behind you. You're not paying these people. You have to watch how you speak to them, how you treat them, etc. When they decided to ban one of their executives from council, that was unheard of. They went to court and put a gag on every FNM. That was unheard of. Every FNM. No FNM could say anything negative about another FNM. That was a court injunction. I don't understand how a party could allow that to stand in a democracy. I don't care what judge that came from. That was out of order. This is democracy, freedom of speech, and that's the party that opened the airwaves. How do you allow that to stand? So things like that, and then silencing persons from speaking at different associations, etc., that disturbed a lot of FNMs. And so there's these kind of things. I think he needs to use more wisdom as a man, and have some more confidence in himself as a leader to be able to make proper decisions, and not decisions that's going to hurt the people around you.
I'm going to address the elephant in the room. Do you think the FNM will run Dr. Hubert Minnis, a former Prime Minister, again?
No, I'm aware that he was informed that they're not going to be running him.
A seat that this man has held since he's been in politics, they're going to risk that seat and not run him again.
Yes, and that's when you have insecure leadership, and I think persons supporting the FNM have to think about that. I don't care about their business. I'm not getting in their business, but you asked me a question. When Tommy Turnquest took over the FNM, you would think him still run. No problem. Yeah, that's the man who's been running there. The people, of course, may want him, and so let him run. Let the people choose if they want him to continue. So there's people all over the world, prime ministers, who went onto the backbench. Even Winston Churchill did so. There's a lot of examples of that. Why not give the man honor since he's been there? If he wants to run, you let him run. If he doesn't, then you give him that respect. And so for that to happen this time, that's disrespectful to a lot of people. And for him to even have a question about whether he'd be running is disrespectful to some people. It's not my business, but that's how I feel some FNMs are seeing it. Now, some people bring up Loretta Turner, who didn't run with the FNM, and saying that was under Minnis, but they were persons who actually went against him, who actually was fighting him. In this case, some persons are saying that Minnis didn't really fight Pintard. He stayed back, stayed quiet, and when it was the convention time, he put himself forward, but every time he spoke, he said the party has one leader. All right, so it's a difference to some people.
If the FNM does not run him, because we won't know until they make an announcement. They may, people say politics makes strings bedfellows. They may just make them talk about him and decide to run him. If they decide not to run him, do you believe he will run independent?
I believe he will run independent and he will lose.
Why do you think he will lose?
Because I've been on the ground in Killarney, and Dr. Veronica MacGyver is our candidate there, and the people are loving her in Killarney. She is one of them. And the response that I am seeing from persons coming to their gates and welcoming her and wanting to be a part of her, and the amount of aid that she is giving to people, especially in the Gambia community, et cetera, people are loving her. And I think if they sleep on her, they're going to have some nightmares.
So you believe she can beat Dr. Minnis?
I believe she will beat Dr. Minnis. Dr. Minnis is extremely unpopular this time. I believe that the persons who voted for him last time, they just didn't want the Davis administration. And so they voted for him. But I believe that with a good candidate like Dr. MacGyver, that she is going to be in the House. I believe that.
Let's talk about the House. People said it will never happen. Coalition will never see the House of Assembly. Now, perhaps people didn't think it could happen this way. People probably figured they'd to be elected in an election in a constituency and win. But your name will now be in the halls of Parliament. What does that mean? That's historic today. What does that mean to you and your organization?
It is very historic. There's only one God, and only God determines what happens. And so we believe that they fought us hard to not get a seat in the by-election. But if God wants something to happen, it's going to happen anyway. I don't care how much money you spend or how much influence you wield. We are still in the House of Assembly. It didn't come the way they thought, but there's different ways to be in the House of Assembly, and this is one. And so we made history. No one has ever crossed the floor to a third party before. Has never happened. There are persons who were in parties who resigned, went independent, and then formed third parties.
Correct.
There's two examples of that. Brian McCartney and Mr. Moss.
DNA, yes.
Right? And so, but there's never been someone cross the floor to a third party. Now, it's historic that we are there because we're now a part of government. What does that mean? The government is not just the governing party. That's the executive.
Correct.
The government is all of the members of Parliament.
The form of Parliament.
And
the legislature.
Yes, the entire legislature, including the Senate. So now we're part of that process, whereas before we were on the outskirts, and people said that we would never win. But God has the final say. All right? And so we are in the House, and that is very significant because now we have a voice inside the House of Assembly, and we are going to express that voice. And you're going to hear from the Coalition of Independents on a weekly basis and on all of the bills that are being passed. So unlike Michael Pintard, who just votes for every bill that the governing party puts in front of him, we're going to make sure that we scrutinize each of these bills properly because he's being paid to oppose, to make sure that you find the loopholes in these bills and you expose them. And so since he's not doing his job, we're going to help. And we're going to make sure that we scrutinize everything that's going on. Also what's significant, Clint, is that we are now a part of the Public Accounts Committee because Hiram Lewis is a part of the Public Accounts Committee. And we have been the Public Accounts Committee for the general public for a very long time. And we've been there, Freedom of Information Act. Now we have that role legally. And I think that is God rewarding us for our hard work in making sure that the Bahamians are informed of what's going on in this country. And so we're tired of Pintard just saying he's going to ask these people questions and asking these random questions. No. We need proper investigations. And so now he is going to have some help, because we're going to be in the Public Accounts Committee, and he's going to have access to all of our network of patriots all over this country who provide information to us.
What happens now? Because you would have had a successful launch. It was aired live on this network. You ran candidates in every constituency. Mm-hmm. What happens now to your candidate that you had for Central Grand Bahama? What happens now to that person?
We didn't launch a candidate for Central Grand Bahama.
You didn't launch one for Central Grand Bahama?
No, maybe.
That seems ironic.
Maybe it was Providence.
Was that the only place you didn't have a candidate?
No, it's 10 candidates that we haven't launched yet.
Oh, okay, all right, okay.
So some persons are still being vetted, etc. So,
okay, that just happened. I was just about to say, that seems so calculating here. Something's being afoot. Okay.
Yeah, so Central Grand Bahama is one of those. That was the only Grand Bahama seat that we didn't put someone in. And so we are glad that he is now on board.
Have you been to Grand Bahama, and what is a feeling on the ground? And I figured something obviously it must have been afoot. Like when I was in Grand Bahama for the last 2 days over there, and people, I heard the fact that you were on the ground.
Yeah.
And I heard people saying, oh, something cooking. So clearly now we understand what was going on up in there, what y'all were working on. What is your feeling on the ground in Grand Bahama? Grand Bahama is a very unique place. And when I say unique place, I'm talking politically, where people call it, as FNM, people say that's FNM country, because they always win the larger amount of seats in that community during the general elections, and people tend to always support the Free National Movement. There's that stronghold still there for the FNM, because the political landscape seems to be quite interesting there.
Yeah, saying that Grand Bahama is FNM country is actually a condemnation. That's nothing that helps, because look at Grand Bahama. If Grand Bahama is FNM country and you have not gotten results, look at Grand Bahama. And don't say it's the Port Authority, because you have a government that can do some things. And don't just look at Freeport, look at East End and look at West End. Look at 8 Mile Rock. That is a condemnation on the FNM to say that Grand Bahama is FNM country.
But the people continue to support the FNM.
And we think it's time for the people to wake up, and we feel that people are waking up. Based on the support that we are getting on the ground. And before we made this decision with IREM, I always do my due diligence. I think you know me by now. And I investigate and I do due diligence. We went on the ground, and I spent a lot of time. And people were like, why are you spending so much time in Grand Bahama? We went on the ground, we did our due diligence, we went into Central Grand Bahama, we spoke to the people. And a lot of the people were saying that, listen, we're going COI. And these are staunch PLPs.
I was about to tell you, because listen, I mean, Central Grand Bahama, if you look at the political landscape, is what they call, if not the safe seat, one of the safe seats for the FNM, because the FNM has won it consecutively 7 times. And the FNM has even said in their statement, they have no doubt that they're going to win it again, because they believe that's one of their strongholds where their supporters always turn out to support them. Matter of fact, the rumblings was that the reason why IRA might have been having some challenges is because the leader may have been trying to move from Marco City to a safer seat in Central Grand Bahama. Don't know if that's true, but that's what the rumblings were. It's a safe seat for the FNM. There's no denying that.
Don't misjudge the people when they're hurting. No one thought that Perry Christie could lose, Shane Gibson, Obi Wilscombe. No one thought that these people could lose.
True.
But they did. When the people are fed up and tired, anything can happen. And so Bahamians are a peculiar people, not just people of Grand Bahama. We've gone in that constituency and people have told us, even IREM went there and people were telling him, why don't you join the COI? People started to say it to him. And we, on the ground, we experienced that. The people were saying, no matter, been FNM all my life, been PLP all my life, we're going with y'all. We tired. We don't care what they say with you. We are tired of them set, because they are failing us. And if you go to Grand Bahama and just look around, there is no reason to vote for the FNM or the PLP. And so if you want change, try something different. You know what's going to happen if you go to F&M and PLP. What has been happening? Failure. More taxes, everything getting more expensive, the foreigners coming in, getting all the opportunities, the job, the land, everything else. Your children forced to move to another country. You want more of that? You want more taxes? I can't take it anymore, and this is why I'm fighting. You can't raise the VAT on food by 10% for 3.5 years and then come back for another year and say, okay, we're going to lower it to 5%. You didn't do me a favor. You did nothing for me. You're not lowering the cost of anything. You put it to 10%. We're tired of being hoodwinked and bamboozled by politicians, and that's why the Coalition of Independence formed. We're not politicians. The first real politician there is IREM. Right. Everyone else is real professional persons who are tired of the way this country going, man. We got to try something different, man. This ain't working. Fire engines, $300,000 cars, but no fire engine? $58 million on travel? No ambulance? No hospital? Consultants? $80 million? This is not a criticism. This is a reality, man. We want a country that works. People dying in the hospital for no reason, for blood issues. Look at A&E after 9 years of renovation. But $58 million on, come on, man. I am not speaking as a politician, I'm speaking as a Bahamian who are hearing the cries of people. We can't, people crying out for help from social services, but they're hearing that immigrants getting help. Our cost to rent an apartment, $1,500 for a 1-bedroom. You know why? Because the immigrants are filling up all of the inventory of apartments. This country got to make sense, Clint. And if someone don't like me or they think I'm not perfect, bring the perfect man to come and do what I do in.
There is none.
And then I can step aside and go enjoy my children and my retirement.
There is none. Absolutely none. Let's take our final break. Be back to wrap up right after this. Stay close.
The internet isn't just for surfing. There's a sea of shoppers buying online, and you can connect with them on Tingsy. Tingsy is the SBDC's online storefront built for Bahamians. Take your business to the next level by selling to customers online, both at home and around the world. People want Bahamian things, and if you got things to sell, sell on Tingsy. Find out how you can connect with a sea of buyers by visiting tingsybahamas.com.
We're here at the Nassau Village Community Center project, where over the past 17 months, we've hired over 20 Bahamian subcontractors to bring this beautiful project to fruition.
I've been living in Nassau Village for more than 19 years, and to see a project like this bring great joy and pride to me.
This state-of-the-art multi-purpose community center will serve as a crime-fighting initiative in the community, also help with the education of our kids in this community, and a hurricane shelter.
Yeah, and it also shows what we as Bahamians can achieve when we work hand in hand with each other.
We have the technical know-how, and we can pretty much deliver on any project here in the Bahamas or in the world.
Bahamas Stripe and the Bahamian Company, they prove that they believe in Bahamians.
Based on the outcome of this project, I don't think they're disappointed in giving a small person an opportunity to do a job such as this.
The more opportunity they get, the more opportunity we will get.
If you look around and see the work done so far, it just shows what we as Bahamians can do.
Welcome back to the rundown, and of course our guest is leader of the Coalition of Independence, Lincoln Bain, and we are wrapping up our discussion talking about obviously the crossing over of Hiram Lewis, who was a Free National Movement opposition member of Parliament, who is now a Coalition of Independence member of Parliament. And I guess it's important to ask, because people always say the dynamics between somebody who's in the House and a leader who's out of the House. How does that work? We saw it a couple times. It happened in the parliamentary history, and it seemed to be a different dynamics because people always say, well, the leader should be the one who's in the House. Any intimidation, or you know, people, I'm gonna put it out there, I'm gonna ask. And I doubt it out because Coalition of Independence I've seen how they support you. So even asking the question, are you threatened by Hiram Lewis becoming leader of the party since he's in the House? It's always good to hear how the dynamics work. With you being a leader out of the House, Hiram is in the House. Any concerns about that dynamics?
No, not at all. I mean, there's no law that says that you have to be in the House to be the leader of the party. There's nothing that says that. And so I think that Hiram is a good Bahamian. And if he wants to be leader and we have a convention, then he's free to do so. We've had more convention and elections than any of the major parties.
You have a convention again? Do you have a convention again before elections?
If it's this year, definitely not.
No.
We just had a convention. But if it's next year, maybe. And so if the people call for the convention, we'll have it. We're not afraid. I'm a leader who is confident in myself. I'm not like Pintard. I am confident that if I'm not the best person for the job, then someone else should do it. It's simple as that.
That's how you feel?
Yeah, if someone else can do a job better than me, then I will let them do that job. I will take advice from the janitor, the sweeper, all right? I do not have ego, and people who are around me, they will tell you that, they experience that. My executives have sometimes voted against things that I want to do. They're my executives. They're the person who is standing out there, putting themselves out there, so if they want to do something this way and I want to do it this way, I will go with them, because they are the person sacrificing themselves for me. And so that's the kind of leadership that we have in the COI, and that's why the people they lean towards me, because of the way I lead and the way I love in my leadership. But I want to say this about the House of Assembly today. What was shocking was that the Progressive Liberal Party members of Parliament looked more concerned and disturbed than the F&M ones. The F&M ones were clearly concerned.
They were sitting there like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, but the PLP ones, if you look at their face, I'll show you the picture. I took a picture of them because we were like, wow, look at them. They look stressed out. Like, what are they concerned about? Clint, normally a governing party loves when a third party comes up because that helps them stay in.
Right.
With George W. Bush, he won twice because of Ralph Nader and the Green Party. With Obama, even though he's unpopular in his second term, he won because of the Tea Party. And so you would think that they would be glad to see a third party coming up because that would hurt the F&M. But they look terrified. And you can tell because immediately they're trolls. We don't pay attention to trolls, but they're paid trolls. We know who they are. Their paid trolls immediately started attacking the COI. Now, normally, you would start going after the F&M, who is your formidable enemy, as far as you're concerned. You would go after the F&M and criticize Pintard and his leadership and attack them and throw jazz. But they sent their trolls immediately to attack the COI over this. And that shows that they know something is in the air. They are threatened by us, and they should be. But what they're more threatened by than us is the people being empowered, because then the people won't be their slaves anymore. That's what they're afraid of. The people coming to the knowledge and the information of what this country is really worth, and the people being empowered. That's what they're afraid of.
Let me ask you, are there any, you've gotten Hiram to join the coalition. You scouting out anybody else? Are there any other announcements that may be hanging in the balance that are coming out? Just like you bend your lip. I know you have an answer for me.
It's possible. It's possible. But for Michael Pintard, when you go into the House of Assembly, as I said today, and you look to your right and look to your left, you wonder who is next.
Ooh. We're going to end this show early because that's the note I want to end on right there. I'm not going any further than that. I give you the final comment, final thought, Lincoln Babe.
All we want to do is fix this country. We thank Hiram Lewis for his service to the country so far. No man is perfect. And we thank him, and we thank him for the courage to do this. It takes a lot of strength to be able to do something like this. We thank him, and we thank the Bahamian people for supporting us and for allowing us to do what we're doing for them. We're serving them. And I just want the Bahamian people to know that we're going to continue fighting for you. We're going to put Bahamians first in this country. You are going to benefit from your natural resources. You are going to benefit from your carbon credits. You are going to be put first. There's not going to be equality in this country. You're going to be first. Because when I go to the U.S. Departure Lounge, they have a separate line for them and a different one, the long one for us. When I go to school in Florida or wherever, there's a different price for them and a different price for us. There's not equality. We are going to put Bahamians first for the first time in this country, and that's what this is about. This is not about politics. Some people think that we just want to get in there and we want power. No, we want to take power away from the politician and give it to the people through island states and city government. No one is going to do for you better than you are going to do for you. You don't have to trust a politician anymore. Now we're just going to put the power in your hands and we can walk away after we've put things in place. This is your country, Bahamas, not the politicians. They're not smarter than you. They don't deserve to live the best life, to live their good life while you are suffering and paying for it with more taxes. Bahamas, we're sacrificing. We've slept on jail cells because we love you. And we love this one country we got. We're going to bring our children home that has been expelled from this country because they were overqualified, and we're going to let them help build this new Bahamas. Let's get this right. Last thing, Fred Mitchell likes to always, he likes to call us names. When you're in a debate and you're losing, you then start calling the person names. He likes to call us idiots. That's what he likes to do, because we dare to challenge the cult mentality of the PLP and FNM, where you just serve a party without thinking. That's a cult mentality. And he dares to call us idiots, but I would put it to you, Clint, that if you make $3 billion a year and you can't pay your civil servants properly or on time, your reservists are crying out for pay, your nurses, your teachers, etc. are crying out for pay, your police officers can't get their gratuity, I think you're an idiot. If you are going to spend $300,000 on a vehicle and can't buy a fire truck, I think you're an idiot. If you're going to spend $58 million on travel and you can't give us proper water and electricity, etc., I think you're the idiot. If you collect money for roads every single time I buy my gas and license my car, but you can't fix the potholes, who's the idiot?
All right. Lincoln Bain, thank you. Always a pleasure having you. It's dead silence in the studio. Thank you so much for being here. It's a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
That does it for the rundown. Be sure to stay locked to the ZNS Network for the Bahamas tonight at 11. It's a final newscast of the country with the latest news and information with Royston Jones. Yeah, right over there hiding behind there. For all of us here at ZNS, I'm Clint Watson. Thanks for joining us. Good night.
At Fort Montague, I'm